there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review for The Inmate by Freida McFadden. The way that I structure my book reviews is I discuss the plots, the things that I liked about the book, the things that I didn't like so much, and then I give the book an overall rating. So if you're interested in skipping to any one of those particular sections, I put timestamps down in the description box below. In The Inmate, we're following a protagonist named Brooke, and she just moved back to her hometown after her parents were killed in a car accident. She is 27 years old, and she has been gone for 10 years. And something tragic happened to her when she was 17 years old. Her boyfriend at the time, whose name is Shane Nelson, tried to kill her. She and some friends all went to Shane's house for like a party slash sleepover, and some really bad things happened that night, and Brooke is positive that Shane tried to murder her even though she never actually saw his face, but she actually did testify in court against him, and he was put away in prison for murdering some of the people at that party, as well as some girls that had shown up dead that were from their hometown like months previously. So Shane, aka, is a serial killer, and Brooke really had no indication that he was a serial killer. That night, Brooke ended up getting pregnant. This is not a spoiler. It is literally at the beginning of the book, with Shane's son. So she has been raising her son, Josh, for 10 years, and Josh has no idea the story behind his dad, his mom, and what happened that night. So Brooke, like I said, when she found out she was pregnant, her parents were really unsupportive. So she moved to Queens, New York, put herself through nursing school, became a nurse practitioner, and after her parents' death, moves back to her hometown, which is a smaller town in New York, and gets a job as a nurse practitioner at the local men's penitentiary where Shane Nelson is being housed for his crimes. But when Brooke returns home and starts to see Shane and talk to some people who were there the night of the killings, she begins to question if her recollection of what happened that night is actually accurate, and if Shane is the one who actually even tried to kill her, and she starts to relive everything that happened. The way that this book is set up is dual timelines. So we have Brooke's current timeline being the nurse practitioner, dealing with Shane, dealing with some other people from that night, as well as 11 years ago with what actually happened that night in the house when people started turning up dead. Hey guys, if you are enjoying this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button, as well as giving this video a like to throw my channel a little bit of support. Also, I'm the author of the book Aftermath, which is an adult sci-fi novel that I published in 2024. I'm going to go ahead and link it in the description box as well as in the cards if you're interested in checking it out. Thank you so much for your support. Going on into the things that I liked about this book is very readable. It is almost written in a YA sense with regards to like the reading level ability. So I feel like it's accessible for a wide range of audiences, and it is a book that you can easily get through in one sitting, and there is enough of the little twists and turns and clues that the author throws in that makes you want to keep reading, so it's definitely very readable. I also like how the author basically gave me whiplash going back and forth with who done it, who tried to murder Brooke. And there is another potential suspect. This is not a spoiler. He's a huge part of the story, but his name is Tim, and this is Brooke's best friend growing up. And he was there the night of the murders, and he actually steps back into Brooke's life as a romantic interest. And the bunch of strange things start coming up that make Brooke question if she can actually trust him, if maybe Tim was the murderer. So the whole book is back and forth between was it Tim, was it Shane, was it Tim, was it Shane? And the author keeps throwing in all these clues to make you guess. So I couldn't figure it out who did it. And both of these characters hated each other. Shane would tell Brooke, don't trust Tim. Tim would say, don't trust Shane. So it was really hard to determine who the innocent person was, if there even was one. And my favorite part of the book was definitely the epilogue. So the epilogue is told from Josh's point of view, Shane and Brooke's son. And honestly, that was like the cherry on top. It wasn't necessary per se, but it just added like a little bit of a creep factor to the story, because there are some things that Shane said to Brooke and some things that Brooke thought internally about like being a serial killer and how can people kill someone else. And then we had this epilogue from this 10-year-old boy that just like was creepy, and I thought it was a really good addition to the book. And lastly, I really did appreciate the twist that the author threw in to make this book more gripping, and that kind of segues into the things that I didn't like. So the twist at the end was a bit surprising, and then she kind of throws a wrench into the plot and like adds this third layer. And I found the twist to be a little bit underwhelming, as well as the motive of the murderer. And it reminds me a lot of the twist in Survive the Night by Riley Sager, which I just had trouble finding it believable. And I really had to suspend my belief to like stomach that that's actually what happened. So I was a little bit underwhelmed with the twist, even though I think that the author built up to it in a good way. And then another thing that I feel like was more of a missed opportunity was the lack of mood or atmosphere in this book. So thrillers can actually be incredibly creepy, and I feel like the author could have added so much atmosphere to this story. We have Shane, who's literally in prison. Prisons can be so creepy. And then we also have this whole timeline that takes place in this creaky old house where people are turning up dead. And I just felt like the way that was written was not well done. It was a bit juvenile. It lacked a lot of sensory detail, and it lacked atmosphere in general that would have like made my heart start pounding as I was reading this. So if you think of like Lucy Foley or Ruth Ware in The Turn of the Key, where the main character is hearing sounds in the house and it's so creepy. Unfortunately, Freida McFadden just doesn't have that particular writing talent, in my opinion, for developing atmosphere. And for a thriller book, I really think it would have added to the experience. And lastly, I really found the whole premise of this story to be a little bit unbelievable. What I mean by that is you have Brooke, who is gone for 10 years, but she is literally the focal point of this story. Multiple people got murdered in this house. She survived a murder attempt, and then her name would have been plastered all over the news, especially the local news for this town. People would know who she was, and she returns to this town and like no one knows who she is. I'm like, I don't believe that. I do not believe that for a second. Her name was still the same. 10 years is not long enough to change the way you look. Going from 17 to 27, you're gonna look basically like yourself. So there's no way that people would not recognize her. And then the whole fact that she was able to get a job at the prison where her murderer was being held, it just would never happen. That's a huge conflict of interest. And Brooke didn't lie about who she was or anything, and no one put all those pieces together. I'm like, that just seemed really unbelievable. And then another small detail I struggled with throughout the story was when someone was trying to kill Brooke, she describes it as she was wearing this chain with a snowflake charm on it, and they were like tightening the chain around her neck and suffocating her. And I'm like, I know women's chains, they're usually very thin and dainty. I feel like that would not be an adequate weapon to strangle someone. It would just break, or it would at minimum like lacerate them. I really don't think a woman's chain with a charm on it could be used to suffocate a grown 17-year-old girl. I just really struggle with that the whole story. I'm like, you need, in my opinion, something stronger to try and murder someone, but just a small detail. Let me know if I'm wrong, but that's just the way I felt about it. All in all, I'm glad I read this book and that I was able to be introduced to a new author and experience her writing style and her stories. This was definitely a fun and ridiculous read. You definitely have to suspend your belief for a lot of it. I feel like this would be a really good book to read if you're like sitting at the beach or you're on an airplane for a couple hours and just want something to distract yourself. But is it the best thriller book I've ever read? Absolutely not. And I'm really on the fence if I'm going to read any more of Freida McFadden's work, just because I wasn't blown away by this one, and I ended up giving The Inmate 3 out of 5 stars. Okay guys, that is it for my review of The Inmate by Freida McFadden. Let me know in the comments if you've read this book and what you thought of it, or if you have any other thriller book recommendations similar to this that you think I might enjoy. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in another video soon. Goodbye!